Welcome to my channel. My name is Emmy from Emmy Evolving. If this is your first time joining me, thank you for finding me. If this is not your first time, thank you for coming back. Alrighty. Let us get started. Sorry, guys. I just gotta fix the screen a little bit. All right. I asked what this reading was going to be about, and what I heard is everything stacked against you will fail. Very fitting. Very, very, very fitting. Very fitting right now. Oh my goodness. Let's get started, guys. There's so much information coming through. It's been like that for days now. And whatever this information is, oh Lord, oh Lord, it's intense. It's definitely super duper intense. And I'm hoping that we will be able to maybe get some resolution. We need a resolution. There is so much confusion. Okay. Well, hello. Am I glowing? Am I glowing? All right. I'm almost ready, guys. Okay. Really quick, before I forget, we are going to be having a private chat over in the Soul Sanctuary. If you're not already a part of that, you can definitely still join. And this is our private sacred space. Let me get it on the screen. Ooh, now I'm hot. You guys, what's going on? Here we go. So if you would like to join us for this private chat, just click on that QR code or the link in the comment. And we're going to be chatting over there at 9:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. 9:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And that's our sanctuary space. Let's get started, guys. All right. Ooh. These cards are already really good. These cards are already really, really good. Oh my goodness. All right. Okay. First and foremost, lady, goddess, you're stepping into a space of full on, what do you call it? Creation, right? Just full-fledged creative energies. And what's needing to happen right now is you're needing to allow yourself to be fully in control. I think for many of us, what ends up happening is we think we're controlling enough of our intentions. But what's really happening is you're kind of being moved by your fear. For those who are on Instagram, yes, the video is in fact tripping. And if you'd like to see my full face, the full degree of my cuteness, go join me on YouTube, okay? So you're stepping into that feminine space. You're stepping into this almost like a forced awareness of just how much influence you have over your journey. And you're needing to, I put the card down here. You're needing to really tap into your power. Okay. Your ability to shift and affect the outcome of things that are happening. You need to be aware of that. You need to be aware of that. There is something happening and there are details, intentions. I would call it caca. There's caca trying to be stacked against you. it will fall. It will fall. You have to just allow yourself to flow through this with full confidence that whether or not you can see what is happening, in the end, it will benefit you. In the end, you will succeed, but you have to put effort, okay? You're not imagining this sense of how things are intentionally testing you. You're not imagining how there is so much going on, almost like an effort to try and overwhelm. You're not imagining these things. You're not. What needs to happen is you need to stay focused. Stay focused on whatever the task at hand is. So, invocation, call to you the information you need, the support you need. Accept it. Accept whatever help it is that you need. Accept whatever else or whoever else needs to be involved in whatever you're doing, right? So, homeland, foundation. This is part of the foundation of what you're building. This is part of the foundation you are building for yourself. This is going to encourage the growth that's necessary for you to develop the maturity to handle the next part of your journey. Now, I want to say for maybe 2 weeks at this point, there's a lot of just consistently letting us know we're approaching the next part. We're starting the next part. The next part is being prepared for. We're accounting for what needs to happen in order to facilitate the next part. It's nothing but next part, next part, next part. Breathe. Just breathe. Take this all in. Allow yourself to understand that your soul has your back. The things that are being stacked against you, they're just distractions. They're just distractions. I found that when this type of thing happens, it usually has a lot to do with you needing to stay focused, consciously choosing to remain focused on what it is you need to do. Now, give me 1 second. If you allow yourself to recognize the process that you're in, you can understand what it is you're focusing on, and you can begin to notice the patterns that whenever you're about to level up, whenever you are so close to the finish line for whatever project that you're working on, this type of stacking up of things against you happens, right? It consistently happens. These are not periods of your life that are just about struggle. For some of you, you mistakenly identify this process as, oh, it's just another period of my life where I'm struggling. No. No. Every time I go through a struggle, every time I feel myself be challenged tremendously to where I don't know how I'm going to get through this. I don't know how to navigate. I don't know this. I don't know that. Man, oh man. That type of process is very viscerally felt. But when I keep focused, push all the way through, the outcome becomes so much sweeter. The outcome becomes something that I could have never, in my wildest dreams, imagined it would turn out in my favor to this degree. You have to trust your process. But in order for you to fully trust your process, You have to actually be present for what's happening. There's no rebirth that's taking place. This is about refinement. There's no part of you that is required to die, right? There's nothing with that. Let's see. There's nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with you just paying attention. Pay attention, be present, allow yourself to take in whatever information is being presented to you by soul. What's happening right now is you're becoming very imbalanced. This lack of balance is due to the fear, it's due to the avoidance, it's due to the aversion to the very process that takes you from this space of limited existence into a space of full on glorious manifestation of whatever you've been putting all of your effort into. You need to ground what you're doing. You need to place it in the soil of your reality and allow yourself to be fully aware of what needs to happen. Let me see really quick. Spirit initiation. You're being initiated into the next part. You're being initiated into the next part. Now, I see Ocean Soul says it's been so hard to stay centered. And yeah, it is. I think for some of us, the reason it becomes so hard to stay centered is because we're trying so hard to sit in a space we no longer belong in. We're trying to ground ourselves, anchor ourselves in a space that the cyclone that is our soul is trying to pull us out of. Maybe you don't have to stay centered in that. Maybe our concept of centeredness needs to be adaptable. It needs to be something that can be shifted side to side, up, down, left, right, forwards, backwards, diagonally, vertically. I don't know. Just let it continue to shift. I remember years ago, there was someone who had told me, because I kept trying to say that I needed to slow down. I needed to be more centered. I needed to ground myself. And I just couldn't manage to do that. And this person was like, they see me like a spinning top, the child's toy that, you spin it and it just keeps spinning all over the floor. The faster the spinning top spins, the more stable it is. When it begins to slow down, when it loses momentum, it becomes more and more wobbly. I didn't realize that my natural state, I just move fast. I can make things happen quickly. And for me to slow myself down, to shame myself into a space that is more acceptable to other people, into a space of trying to be like others, imitating their process, a process that has nothing to do with me, that was slowing me down to the degree that it was causing the wobble, the sense of being pulled from center. All I needed was to allow my energy to flow, and it would keep me spinning very fast and remaining very solid in my process. For most of us, we don't really know what our process is. That's okay. You don't need to have understanding in that way where you need to have all of the details. You don't need that. At least not in the moment. Oftentimes, what happens is we gain the understanding after the experience is done. Okay? So, centeredness, we need to redefine what center is. Groundedness, we need to redefine where our ground level is, right? Shadow, dark mirror, or scrying mirror. I think for some of us, part of this process is our shadows being reflected back at us. by other people. We are seeing aspects of ourselves that we really, really struggle to see. And so life is bringing people who are reflections of those parts of us. That's okay. Let yourself see what needs to be seen. Don't be afraid of who you are. And if there's something about you that you just really are struggling to accept, leave it be for a little bit. There's a high likelihood that you're not even understanding that part of you that you're struggling to accept. There's a high likelihood that you're still existing in a space of trying to be compliant with other people's expectations of you. When people have expectations of you that are not in alignment with your truth, with who you are, with your most authentic self, you have to stop trying to comply. You have to stop trying to fit in because it's just not going to work. No matter how hard you try, it's not going to work. So instead of trying to be a version of yourself that someone else told you to be, I think the most powerful thing you can do is just simply stop, reassess. Why are you doing this? Is it to impress somebody? Is it to get a good opinion of yourself in someone else's head? I mean, because if that's what it is, I don't know. I don't know that that's worth your time and your effort. I think that if you're participating in those types of things, um, that's how the things that are stacked against you will remain successfully stacked against you. Okay. A new start is coming, but it's in reverse. This is telling me that you don't need to start over. You simply need to continue. Just because a cycle is complete doesn't mean you necessarily have to restart that cycle. It means you need to just kind of assess, where are you within yourself? Have you learned things from what you've just been through? Do you need time to process? Do you need someone who's been through what you just finished so that they can help you gain an even deeper understanding of what it is you're needing to do? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what needs to happen. I don't know if what we're doing has a set list of rules, a set expectation that will be followed strictly by soul. And if we do have a set expectation, a set list of rules and regulations, who's determining what that is? Who is dictating that? Is it you? Is it your insecurity, your fear? Is it the part of you that avoids the very things that are good for you? Who is that? What is that? If you don't know who the players are in the story that you're writing, I don't know that you're taking the position of creator in your life, the position of author. I don't think anyone else should have control over your story. I think it should be you who's choosing all of these things based off of the guidance of soul. Everything stacked against you will fall. Are you afraid of what falls? Have you used the things that are stacked against you as a viable excuse as to why you will not allow yourself to move forward in life? Have you become addicted to the pain of where you're at? Have you become addicted to the struggle that you face on a consistent basis? That's hard. That's a very, very hard realization that you are choosing the pain, that you are allowing yourself to give all your power away just so you can remain in this space of smallness. Wow. I saw a video yesterday. Let me just let me see if I downloaded it. I want to say I did. Or maybe I didn't. Excuse me. Yeah, I didn't. Excuse me. Well, the video was saying something along the lines of maybe you're not scared of success because we're exploring different layers and levels of our process. At first, it was this realization that you're not afraid, this realization that you're afraid of failure. And then came the realization of you're not afraid of failure, you're afraid of succeeding. And now another layer is being presented. You're not afraid of success. You're afraid of when the spotlight is on you, you will not have the power to control people's opinions of you. Ooh. And so it's much more comfortable to stay in that limited space, staying behind this wall of criticism, this wall of intentional sabotage that's been placed in front of you. There's tremendous change coming. There is tremendous, tremendous change coming. And what you will do with that change, how you will utilize it for your growth, for your process, is really up to you. It's completely up to you. Take time to breathe out. You need to take the time to exhale because you've been holding your breath. And as you hold your breath, it diminishes your ability to speak into being the goodness that you dream of, the opportunities that you know you can handle, the opportunities that you know you should have, that they belong to you. How are you going to speak it into being while holding your breath? When you speak something into being, it needs to be with the full contents of your lungs, right? Look at the bigger picture, but it's in reverse. I think maybe for some of us, a large portion of our fear is rooted in our fear of seeing the whole picture. We're so zoomed in, we're trying to micromanage a specific aspect. How is that working for you? Is it causing you to feel that there is so much more adversity than there actually is? How is that working for you? You have to allow yourself to recognize where you're at and how choosing to stay where you're at within yourself, within your circumstance, that's giving others the opportunity to continue stacking things against you. No more. It's this sense that there is a need to recalibrate, that there is a need to rediscover what your new point of center actually is. I think you've outgrown the old spaces, and that's why you're not quite fitting right where you currently are. And if you allow yourself to begin to recognize, maybe you'll be more willing. Maybe you will be much, much, much more willing to move forward in life. Meditate and contemplate. I think for many of us, we're choosing to meditate and contemplate on the things that are being communicated by soul. That's not a bad thing, but that's not enough. Okay. So this communication is telling me that, yes, that is one component. It's a validation of a part of the process. After you've meditated and contemplated, you then need to begin applying the instruction from soul that you received during that space of contemplation. A new romantic cycle begins. So you are not going to be starting a new cycle right now. No, you need to finish out what's happening here. Don't shift your focus on something like romance if you haven't gotten a chance to completely see the way you function in your life. That's a major distraction. Romantic connections can be very healing, can be very enjoyable, can be something very beautiful if it's healthy. If it is healthy. Now, I think for many of us, we are so unhealthy in our perception of what love is and what romantic connection, healthy romantic connection is, that most of the connections we get into are not healthy. That we pay attention and attract mirrors of the unhealthiest parts of us, right? So, what needs to happen? Well, you need to build a relationship with yourself first. It's not that you're not deserving of love. It's not that you'll never have a healthy connection with another person. It's that you are being asked by soul to first repair the connection between the self and the soul. Okay? Everything stacked against you will fall, including the wall of people who feed your desire for toxic connection. Many of us have that desire. Many of us have that desire. And really, what needs to happen is we need to begin very closely looking at why we desire those things. They are mirrors of you that need your attention. And every time you come across a toxic person, a toxic circumstance, you're being gifted the opportunity to practice how to overcome that within yourself. But I think for many of us, when we experience that, well, we just assume that our luck in love sucks. We assume that everyone else sucks. It's not us, it's everyone else. We assume that there's no good people out there, everything projected out rather than an internal introspective moment, right? Going deep within the self to see, what am I experiencing here? Is this something that is a mirror of a part of me? Have you ever noticed how, for some of us, we are very, very heavily drawn romantically to people who are emotionally unavailable? And then we feel like, I just want a deep connection with someone. And everyone's just so superficial. Like, I can't even get a text back. I do so much for someone else, and they never even give me the time of day. Do you give yourself the time of day? Do you take care of your needs, or is everything, once again, projected out onto other people? Because, we need to be aware if there is this part of us, and it doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't. But you need to be aware if there is still a part of you that genuinely feels that if you do for someone else, that they should reciprocate. Like whenever you need me, I'm there. I drop what I'm doing. I need you right now, and I need you to drop what you're doing. Okay, so then you weren't doing that out of the goodness of your heart. That was a transactional thing that you were doing. You are prepaying without informing them of what you're prepaying for, right? I think for the most part, if you're doing things like that, unless of course you are indeed, you know, intentionally manipulative, which I think for most people, we're not intending to manipulate others. We just don't realize. Okay. So if you're doing that, this thing of I'm going to do for you so that you'll know how to do for me, um, I think you should just do it for yourself. I think that you should just put that energy, intention towards your circumstance. Once I began doing that, I began to no longer feel like, how come I don't have a friend like me? I'm always there for other people. No one ever helps me. I was doing it to myself. I was investing so heavily in others that it was stacking up against me. It's because I didn't know how to treat myself. It's because I couldn't understand why people couldn't reflect back to me what I was so desperate to receive from someone else. Not everyone has your heart. Not everyone has your love language. And if what you're looking for is your heart and your love language, the manner in which you express your love for someone in someone else, I mean, I don't know that you could call that love anymore. Love never dictates to someone else, to the person that you claim to love, how they should be. I was asked years ago, many, many years ago, how do I know that my husband really loves me? Like, how do we know this? Well, first and foremost, he has never asked me or demanded me or threatened me to be anything outside of who I am. It includes all the full range of my attitude. He's never asked me. I've never even felt a hint of him wishing that I was someone else, something else, some other way. I've always only ever felt I am allowed to be exactly who I am, how I am, and it is more than enough. Secondly, he has never called me out of my name and forced me to identify as a label ever, ever, ever. When was the last time you did that for yourself? You allow all these things to stack against you. You allow all of these things to stack against you and distort your perception of yourself. And then you wonder why you don't know who you are or what you're capable of. I think as you're growing in your awareness of some of the processes that you're in, that's going to require you, obligate you to begin changing the things that no longer serve you, the types of patterns, the types of connections, the types of um, unacceptable behaviors that you participate in, allowing other people to try and convince you that you're something other than what you are, right? Yesterday, I was on TikTok and someone enters into the live and asks me what type of doctor I am. Where have I ever claimed to be a doctor? Have any of you ever heard me claim to be a doctor of any kind? As a matter of fact, there are, I would say, hundreds, if not thousands, of hours of video documentation of me informing people. I am not a doctor. I am not licensed to treat, diagnose, prescribe. We just having a conversation here. You're going to need to talk to your doctor. You're going to need to speak to your licensed medical provider, right? I knew that was already a loaded question. And so I was like, I don't know, joking around, right? And then I was like, I'm not a doctor. And they're like, that's the correct answer. You're not a doctor. Okay, but what's your intention? What's your intention with that? What is your intention with that comment? To try and tear me down, to try and get me to feel as though I am less than I am, to try and get me to skew my perception of myself. Me not being a doctor was a conscious decision I made. It wasn't because I failed. It wasn't because I wasn't accepted into medical school. I chose my path. I have the capacity, and any doctor who communicates with me regarding any type of medical circumstance involving a family member of mine or someone I'm advocating for, they all think I'm a doctor. I don't identify as one. I do not present myself as one. And on the flip side of that, I had another person, man, TikTok really been like a hemorrhoid up my ass lately. It's all fun until they really tick me off. And then I'm not going to be so fun anymore. Another person went ahead and made this video, and they were basically saying that they don't need all of these fancy certificates, that I guess they have a problem with me having a full-on academy where I am being paid to teach, responsibly prepare my students to work on other clients, right? It's amazing. When did I ever say I have any type of certificate? When did I say I ever did that? They identify me as someone who feels like I'm so above everyone else because I've paid for all these certificates to learn what I'm teaching. I don't have a single certificate. I've said that so many times. I decided to not finish college. I decided not to get any certificates in anything. Yes, I continue my education by auditing Ivy League college courses. Hell yeah, I love to learn. I educate myself. I have no certificates in anything. So that is the flip side. Someone trying to convince me to see myself differently. Because why? Because you read the intro on my live stream? Because you don't know the words in the intro? You can Google those words. You feel inferior to me. I'm not trying to be superior to you. You feel inferior to me. And the other person feels threatened by my information, and they needed to feel superior to me. They needed to present things. None of that has anything to do with me Ever. Ever. You will meet people on both ends of the spectrum. If you allow them a foundation from which to begin stacking things against you, they will. They'll feed off your insecurity. Thank you, Teresa. Teresa says, interesting how people say that about taking any coursework, yet they paid when going to regular school. And I bet they paid for some kind of advice, i.e., going to the salon. You pay for legal advice, you pay for medical advice. Here's the thing. When you recognize your capacity to understand your circumstance and that information is at your fingertips at any given time, those labels, those titles, the ABC soup after the name, none of that really means anything. None of that really means anything. I've gone toe to toe with doctors. You bring in enough specialists, I'm not going to be intimidated. I'm going to ask you to spell the word you're using so I have a better understanding of your vernacular. I will speak to you in your vernacular. Give me a few minutes. Let me get out my phone. I have gone toe to toe with lawyers. No, I don't have any degree in anything. As a matter of fact, years ago, I had to take legal action because this was just, it was excessive what I was dealing with. Excessive. Excessive. And so what happened? I paid for a legal consult so that I could ask the lawyer specialized in the field that I was dealing with the subject matter I was dealing with. I found the civil codes and I asked her, does this apply to me? Well, I mean, you would need this, this, and this if it applies to you. Okay, I will get that to you today. Um, well, I said, does this legally apply to me? Ethically? Am I considered a member of this protected class? If you have the documents, yes. Yes. I will get you those documents by the end of the day. I even wrote the legal notice. I wrote it myself. I presented it to the lawyer. They pretty much copied and pasted and put it on their letterhead. I was supposed to be charged an additional retainer for that. I did the work myself. I paid for the letterhead. They never sent me another bill. I was waiting. I'd pay. Absolutely. If that's what's agreed upon, that's what I will honor. I'll pay. The other person got a lawyer. That's fine. The truth is on my side. Tried to make all these threats, future legal action, go ahead. Advise your client to go ahead and sue me. I'm not going to agree to a non-disclosure agreement. This is my life. I'm a public speaker. I will speak about my life. I will not allow you to create any space of questioning my integrity, because I knew to sign that NDA is to subtly admit that I lied on a police report. I did not fucking lie. I did not lie. I will not agree to an NDA. As a matter of fact, you're going to give me back my deposit. I'm not going to sign the NDA. And I wish a motherfucker would try and sue me. Nothing. Leave me be. I didn't need a degree to hold my ground. You allow too many people to convince you that you are less than what you actually are because you did not fall for the trick of being forced into a financial bind. You know, when I was much younger, you needed a BS degree just to get a job. And it's not even a high paying job, it's not a high level type job. Just to be seen for an interview, you needed a BS degree. It's like on average, a BS degree is like $80 to $100,000. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Wouldn't you know? Now, from what I heard, some companies don't even care if you have a GED. Ain't that some shit? And you have all these people during that time feeling like they were nothing because they didn't have that BS degree. They couldn't, for whatever reason, do that. Whether they didn't have the funds, they didn't have the opportunity, there was too much they had to do to simply survive. And wouldn't you know, you don't even need that now. Ain't that some shit? And it's not to poop on people who have committed their time to education. Everything I'm saying is intended to give you a very clear understanding. If you don't know your worth, everything that stacks against you will feel so real. It will feel like you are being crushed. The only thing crushing you is your insecurity. These things that are stacked against you, once you tap in to your actual power, your worth, your capability, they all come crumbling down. They all come crumbling down. It all becomes just some nonsensical thing. A personal issue reaches resolution, but it's in reverse. Why is it in reverse? There can be no resolution until you absolve yourself of these sins you accuse yourself of committing. There can be no resolution until you choose to stop punishing yourself. Work through your fears, but again, it's in reverse, right? Again, it is in reverse. Schumann says, yes, I feel self-conscious about my formal education when I submit my proposals to organizations. I think that when we embody our insecurity, we become very potent in silently communicating that we don't deserve the opportunity being presented to us. That's what I've learned. That when we allow those insecurities to exist, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Depending on how deeply we believe in our diminished value because of our perceived insufficiency, it becomes a very self-fulfilling thing. Very self-fulfilling. When I worked as a makeup artist, when I worked as a photographer, yeah, I had a lot of insecurities. A lot of the people who were my peers They had the really expensive fancy equipment. They had the Nikons, they had the Canons, and I didn't have those things. I had a digital SLR, but there was no removable, changeable lens. And the quality of my work still showed. I remember one time, this photographer peer of mine who he was a very successful small business owner. And because of his small business, he had like a smaller warehouse workspace. And a portion of his warehouse, he converted it into a studio. He had the Hensel lights, and those are like ridiculously expensive. Ridiculously expensive. He had the digital SLR 16 gig. No, not 16. I don't megapixels. Yeah, it was like at the time, like that was the standard, right? That was a professional camera. And I remember one day, um, I asked him if I could do a photo shoot in his warehouse. And he said, yeah, he can't stay, but he'll give me the keys, and I could use his equipment and this and that. And I chose to use my cheapy lights and my cheapy camera, and I rocked it out. He was excited to see how the pictures turned out, raw, no editing. Ooh wee. He's been to all of these workshops. He's gotten these certificates. He's read the books. He's taken so many classes. And he really, really, really wanted to be a professional photographer. And he saw my work and he's like, oh, how'd you fit the girl under there? And I was like, oh, she's a yogi. He goes, what even made you think of bringing that furniture into the warehouse and doing that? I said, well, I looked at her. I happened to see that and I did it. He goes, huh, it's so cute how you can churn out these type of pictures with your little Mickey Mouse camera. I remember that distinctly, with your little Mickey Mouse camera. He meant to try and diminish me. And I was like, yeah, just goes to show it doesn't matter if you can afford the expensive equipment. If you have an eye for it, you have an eye for it. And he goes, ouch. Yeah. Sir, you are categorically a GWC, a guy with a camera in the industry. That is a pervert who has the money to purchase the gear in order to lure young women. You are categorically a GWC. Zero understanding of cameras. I did eventually get a 5D, a Canon 5D. Zero understanding of any of the technicalities of photography. But boy, oh boy, I can churn out a picture like you wouldn't fucking believe. Work featured in Maxim. I've had makeup artists try and criticize me. It's jealousy. I don't have any formal education in that either. No, never been to any workshops or anything like that. Mhm. Tons of professional campaigns as a freelance makeup artist, hairstylist too, and wardrobe. These people who go to the Fashion Institute, they're like, damn, girl, I love your style, this and that. I don't dress like that because I want to be comfortable. When you have an eye for beauty, you have an eye for beauty. You don't need that education for what? To teach you how to be artistic, how to be an individual. I've entered into industries where people spend so much money trying to train to get whatever certifications and degrees they need to show their value. I go into there with nothing and I make waves and then I exit. See y'all later. It's just a hobby. I was just curious. I thought it was fun. I'm bored now. It's time for me to go. Right? If you allow that insecurity to pop up, and it's not me faking, it's not me faking that I am secure. It's me understanding there's always room to grow. You know more than me. Show me. Show me. I would love to learn from you. Genuinely. I would love to learn from you. But I promise you, once I learn from you, I'm going to take it to a whole nother level because that's how my brain functions. And because I'm aware that's how my brain functions, I don't see you as competition. I see you as someone who's helping me to learn an aspect I need to learn because that's a component that's necessary for what I'm going to do in the next part. Now, I'm not trying to take your opportunities. I'm creating my own. Exist in that way. I promise you. Everything stacked against you will absolutely topple. It will absolutely topple. Don't let people convince you you're less than what you are. Just because they achieve something does not mean you are incapable of achieving beyond what their limit is. Beyond. It's up to you if you want to listen to people trying to convince you that you're less than what you are, that you're incapable. I had a friend, the whole photography started because this friend from high school went and got a BS degree in, I don't know, I think fine arts or something like that. And because he went to a university, he had all of the loans. And because his major didn't really have any books, he used those loans to purchase the gear. And just so happened he needed a makeup artist. He knew that I worked at the counters at one point. So I told him, yeah, I'll help you. I have tons of makeup. I have tons. All I did was watch what he does. Of course, he didn't tell me what f-stops mean. He didn't teach me about aperture. I could feel the way his brain was processing the images that he was seeing in the viewfinder. Calibrate to that. I still can't explain to you what an f-stop is or what aperture, exposure, or any of that. You give me a few minutes with your camera, I'm going to know how to modify the image to bring to fruition what I see in my head. The playing of light and darkness, creating a beauty that's textured with depth. You ask me, how did I don't fucking know. It's your camera. I don't know. I just know that when I turn the knob this way and I press that button, it creates this effect. If I don't like that effect, I'm going to tone it down. If I want more, I'm going to tone it up. I just keep adjusting until I like what I see. And I love lines. I love seeing the flow and movement of energy across someone's face. There was one person, it was my husband's really good friend. He's an amazing guy. He happened to be a very high level graphic designer. He loved photography, very artistic, totally secure in himself. And so there was no competition, no jealousy, no nothing. I've never sensed that from him. And I remember, I think he had seen some of the pictures that I took and he was like, man, you can't teach this. And I was like, really? And he's like, no, you either have the eye for this or you don't. You can't teach this. You're using thirds. You're framing it in thirds. I'm like, what's that mean? He's like, well, you break up the image into three parts. And depending on how you compose that image, it's what's going to draw the eye from one point to the other. And all of your images has this. And I was like, really? I just like to follow lines. He goes, that's what you call it? Yeah. I like to follow the lines. And he encouraged me, along with my husband, to take it to another level. I said, well, I'm going to have to build a website. He has an agency. He hosted my website and then he got busy. So you know what I did? I taught myself how to utilize Dreamweaver. That's a programming app. I never took a class. I taught myself programming. I didn't know that wasn't normal. I just didn't want to be a burden. He was already doing so much to help. He goes, "You changed the website." Yeah, it's not working? I don't know what I did. I tried. And that's when I realized my brain doesn't work the same. You don't have to follow after someone else. When you refuse to be stopped, you will not be stopped. You just won't. And the only limiting factors that actually limit you is you. How deeply you believe someone else's lies that you're not enough. Case in point, I had someone who got a hold of my truffle samples. I barely, like, not even a week of me officially forming an LLC for it. He got a hold of my truffle samples. He's this hoity toity, big deal general manager for a hoity toity, stuffy restaurant in New York. He wanted to launch my company nationwide. It wasn't a fit. It did not feel right to me. Bowed out of it. His chef, they tried to recreate it. They tried to recreate my product. The only reason he contacted me was because he couldn't figure out how to steal what I created. I'm not dumb. I bowed out of it. Most people be like, "Oh my God, that was an amazing opportunity. You're so stupid." Nah, that didn't feel right. I bowed out. And I just continued, like, if it goes national, it goes national. I don't care. But this is something I need to explore this. Wouldn't you know? Maybe a month, maybe 2 months later, zero advertising. I don't even know how they found me. Guess who called me? Called me, soliciting me. Palms Casino. My confectionery company is still listed as one of their vendors. They called me asking me to come in for a tasting. And their head chef, when he tasted my product that I did not go to school to learn how to create, he was jumping around and running in place. I don't know what that means. And all the other chefs that were there looked at me like, and I was like, "Is that good or is that bad? I don't understand what's happening." I was like, "Is that good or is that bad?" He can spit it out. If he doesn't like it, he can spit it out. And I'm like, "No, it's really good." And he says, "Put her on the vendor list." Mhm. I'm a vendor for Palms Casino. And then I shut my company down because I was done with it. Yeah, because like I said, you're the limiting factor. It's not anyone else. It's not anyone else. It's you. When you allow yourself to believe other people, I'm sure that guy in New York wanted me to fail. He was pissed. He was pissed. Out of his own mouth, he told me his Belgian trained top dessert chef could not figure out how to recreate it. Because you're not a mom with sick kids who deserve to taste the sweetness in life. That's why you can't figure it out. You just want money. You want to exploit me. I'm good. I'm good. You're never going to have my recipe. Never going to work with you. I'm good. That didn't stop me. Again, I wasn't contacting any casinos. They called me. They contacted me. And I did their event. It was like one of the largest, I don't know, it's like a Comic-Con convention type thing. They ordered like thousands of truffles. I'm like, I'm gonna die. Yeah, no, they ordered thousands. It was a massive order. I did it all in my little cottage kitchen. The way I presented myself at that meeting, they thought I ran a commercial kitchen. I've never in my fucking life even worked in a kitchen. I don't know any of that. I don't know any of that. I worked in my little cottage kitchen. Yep. And they were aware. After they were aware. They're like, "What kitchen do you work out of? We can have our delivery person." I was like, "No, I'm sorry if there's any confusion. It's okay if you want to cancel this. I operate a cottage business." They're like, "What?" And I said, "Yes, I operate out of a cottage kitchen." Mhm. Mhm. There's nothing wrong with starting small. There's nothing wrong with where you start. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Stop allowing these preconceived notions of you need to start at the top. You need to have the fanciest and the big. No, you don't. That's to prove to someone else and distract them from what you believe you're lacking. When you begin to see you're not lacking anything, everything stacked against you will fall. It will fall. Hold your vision in reverse. Something is trying to distract you. Something is trying to convince you to pay attention to something else. How badly do you want to succeed? Because how badly you want to succeed is how hard you need to hold to maintain that vision. Stay focused. Stay focused. Something wants you in a space of shadow and darkness, so you become impatient and forget that you are your own celestial teacher. You, in fact, are limitless. You, in fact, have much to be grateful for. You, in fact, have forgotten so much that you're no longer walking in alignment with your truth and potential. Go ahead and feel your emotions. Feel it all. Let yourself feel it all, process it all, allow yourself to recognize the ways in which you feel you've disappointed yourself because you've missed opportunities. And I don't believe in missed opportunities. I don't. Why? Well, if I miss something, that means I wasn't in the proper mindset, emotion, whatever, to succeed in that to the degree that I should succeed in that. I needed more time to come to terms with the fact, the reality that I'm capable of that. So we pass up on that. It's going to circle back around, maybe in a different form, maybe with other people. It's going to circle back around. And by then, I will be ready. I will be ready. And I will charge forward with it. There will be no faltering. There will be no fear. Yep. On the surface, you thought you weren't ready. Deep down, you were just waiting. Ready, but waiting. When it circles back around, you will have done the work, hopefully, right? You will have done the work and you will absolutely be ready. You just needed some space to process what it is that life is offering you. You did not have the context with which you could understand that this lack of dependability that you're experiencing, where you feel like no one is there for you, it's because you needed to be there for yourself. And you've been expending your energy on people, places, and things that were designed to simply drain you, right? To simply drain you. It's Time for me to go, guys. If you would like to be part of our chat, please come and join our sanctuary. This is our spiritual space, very, very sacred. You can click on that QR code or the link in the comments. That'll take you to the link for the recurring contribution for our church. I am the senior pastor of Soulwork Synergistic Church, and our sacred sanctuary space is the soulsanctuary.love. That is a very, very powerful space. I have a lot of things. Oh, y'all, what we talked about last week, the intensity of that conversation, nothing but confirmation this week and an amplification of really intense messages. This has to do with the reasoning why my laptop was shut down right before, like right when the live stream started yesterday, and then my laptop shut down. This is the information I couldn't share. It's a lot, a lot, a lot. I'm going to be organizing all of the videographic evidence and all of that, all of that. The messages that I've been receiving for our sanctuary and have been communicating to our sanctuary for months now. We'll talk about it in the sanctuary. We'll talk about it in the sanctuary. It's going to be another intense chat. We get through it. We'll get through it. Tomorrow, I'm going to be live here on YouTube. I'm going to be doing the Empowerment Tea Party. This is where you can get scans, readings, personal energetic work. If there's things you need to get done, energetic services that you'd like to try, click on that QR code or the link in the comment. I'm live tomorrow, Sunday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. Join me, okay? I'm going to be here on YouTube, Facebook. I don't think I'm going live on Instagram for that. It's just too much for my hamster rave in my brain. It's too much for my brain. I'll see you guys again soon. Please make sure you like and follow. If you haven't already found me on TikTok, please go find me over there. The more of us over there, the merrier. And maybe we can start displacing some of that toxic caca. The toxic caca on TikTok. I'll see you guys again very soon. So, sanctuary folks, I'll see you in about 15 minutes, okay? 15 minutes from now, 9:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. See you over in the sanctuary.